well, I'll be 56 this year, 56 this year, and trying to learn all these new apps and technology.
Oh, it's going to be the time, isn't it, now?
Oh, mate, I love technology. Always have and always will. I love that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, and it's
but
awesome to get you on and be able to work it out. I had a little bit of trouble there, but it's good to get you finally on.
thanks, Carl. I appreciate that.
All right.
Especially in these testing times.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly why I wanted to get you on here, because obviously with everything going on, there's been uh, frustration from your end, frustration from sort of everyone's end, and sadness and just emotion in general through the competitive community. So I wanted to get you on here so we can sort of have your voice and uh, give everybody a little bit of direction of what we
Hmm.
can do now, what we can't do. And yeah, I'm really excited to get your thoughts on everything. So right now, the first question I want to ask you is,
Yeah.
how are you guys? How are you, Tony?
Look, I'm doing all right. I mean, obviously, deep inside, I mean, because I live for the shows. I just love it. It's yeah, it's been tough. I'm lucky that Patricia and I both we've got a very loving family, and we support each other, and we enjoy each other's company and that. And there's always the little tests, when you're together all the time. But majority of the time it's just amazing. We just support each other, and we just try and keep positive as much as we can. I'm lucky my kids can still continue working. But for Patricia and I, it's been really, really tough. I love when they put dollar signs for federations and that. But Patricia and I, this is our full-time job, so we haven't had any money come in since. Well, we had October the last show, and then we had the rookie show, which is one of our smaller show. But if September and October don't happen, well, we don't have any money coming in at all. So so when they put dollar signs in, tell them to come and step in our shoes and that. But anyway, that's a bit
Yeah.
of a negative, but which I hate being negative. But that's the reality. And but other than that, look, like I said, got great support. We support each other really well, so that for us that's been great. I've been able to train because we've got a little setup at home, and so that keeps me sane as well. But it just kills me inside that because we just love seeing the smiles and seeing everyone on the day. And as you know, you're a big part of that. And it's just a great day that everyone just has fun. Not about the results, but just being together is just, wow. Yeah. And that's what I really miss a badge.
Abs- yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest parts of the competing aspect is looking forward to that day. It's not just the day itself, but it's that months and
Mm.
months leading up to it, and all that excitement. So yeah, I think it's really sad, everything that's happened, and don't worry too much about being negative, because you're right. It's real, and it's the reality of everything. And
Yes.
we want to find. I hope what this as well. I want to talk about to you a little
Mm.
bit later on is actually the future and what sort of innovations can natural bodybuilding Australia look at
Yeah.
as a whole to keep this going forward and to keep people on track with everything.
Mm.
Because if you don't, we don't want this to go silent. Bodybuilding is a part of most people's lives, and competing is something we look for and we enjoy. At least once a year, or even if you don't compete for a few years, it's always on the back of your mind. And yeah, it almost feels like it's gone. So yeah,
No,
it's
correct.
kind of a weird time.
Correct. And you know what? I've always said one thing, we don't get recognition as bodybuilders, and yet you watch every sport. What do they do at pre-season, and even during the season? They train, and who taught them all those exercises? Bodybuilders.
Yeah,
So
that's where a lot of it sort of stems from, and
it
a
does.
lot of the ideologies. That's where it sort of builds, and
Yep.
usually it's those people that are in the physique sports, because it is all based on the exercise.
My word.
They're yeah, they're always looking for new ways, and more the innovative side of it.
Yeah. Look, I think we get out of all this thing that's happening at the moment. I think we're going to get, and I've seen some beautiful stories as well, and some kindness, and some great gestures from people in the community. So I think out of this, we got to look at some great things that are happening, and the closeness of people and families, and ideas that are coming out. And I think obviously the world's going to change in a big way, but I think there's going to be some really good things come out of this. And I really see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think we're going to become, well, this is my opinion. I think we're going to become better people because of it, and appreciate things in life that we probably didn't appreciate before. So, you've got to look at those kind of things, that sometimes things happen for a reason, and there's always a thing at the end of it, what that reason was. And I just, that's my belief. Yeah.
Absolutely. Australia
Oh,
in itself has been super blessed as far as, not having any of these sort of disasters for a very long time. So
yes.
this is just basically going to shift that priorities in people's lives, and it's going to make them look at it a little bit differently, whether anything changes or not. But it changes the way you think, and I think that's exciting for people. Regardless, there's always going to be ups and downs and good times and bad times, but changing your perspective, changing your priorities, and looking at life through a different lens is always a good thing.
100%. It truly is. And it's the same thing as what I always say at the workshops and even at the shows. I say, take every opportunity in life, because you don't know what tomorrow brings.
Yeah,
To me, I think, and this is going back to our sport, is that I think it's going to come bigger and better when we do come through with it. I think always when there's, I went through the recession and other things that's happened in the world, and I always found that people always look for an avenue to get away from, say, reality or what's happening in the world. Go to the gym, and you're in that world now, and it's a good world. We always have even fun at the gyms, and you're meeting people and talking to people, but just training and having that clear mind and not thinking about what's happening outside. And I think more people are going to get into training and fitness, and I think our sport's going to
it's a
get bigger
safe.
from that.
Yeah, the gym is a safe place for a lot of people. I talk about this a lot. I don't know whether a lot of people are missing exercise, or if they're actually missing a place to go every day where they can take a bit of time out for themselves and prioritize their health and their well-being. Taking that away from someone and only having a space where you used to use for purely relaxation and recreation, now having to be a place of workout and exertion, I think that's a very hard thing. And not only that side of things, but there's, like you said, there's going to be a lot of people that maybe didn't take health as seriously, or their bodies as
Mm.
seriously, and this reduction in exercise naturally through not moving as much and being at home more is going to force them to care about it a little bit more, and that's where we're going to get a lot of opening up in the sport.
My word. And if you look at most of the people that have passed away, have had some kind of complication beforehand, and something that we've always been proud of, and obviously pushing the natural side of it, stay natural, and also train and be healthy, because it can get you through these kind of situations that we hope we never see again. But and you see all our fitness people, where we support each other, and and we've I can't say that we're it won't affect us, but it's less likely to affect
Yeah,
healthy
because
people.
absolutely, and this is something that we were going to touch on, which is but whether, regardless of what people think, bodybuilding is actually quite a healthy sport. People
Mm.
always talk about the peak weeks and some of the crazy things that you do in the later stages. But for 90% of the year, you're in a very good spot,
Mm.
nutritionally healthy, emotionally, because you're so driven and you have so many goals.
Yes,
You're in a very good spot. So it's definitely something that people should consider.
my word. Look, I probably want to start talking about what we want to do, and well, the things that we think we're going to be able to do for our shows and that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
What are you guys thinking innovation
yeah.
wise?
Look, I think we don't have, like, predominantly it's always been September that our shows are on, in October. But for us, it doesn't have to be. If we need to move it to October, November, or December, I'm happy to do that. Obviously, availability of the venue plays a big part of that. But if we can move it and still be able to put some shows on, what I'm worried about is the limitation of numbers that the government will allow us to have. which then dictates a
Yes.
lot. Then because that can throw a big spanner in the works.
That is definitely a factor, because given our last few shows of the ICN, they have been just getting bigger and bigger and
Yeah,
bigger.
look, they have, and we're very blessed like that. And I think part of our success is that we listen to competitors and coaches on what as obviously constructive criticism of how we can get better and what we need to change. And one of the things that I think that's we've really listened to and I thought about for a long time. And one thing we do at the ICN is we have a meeting with all the presidents, and then we make a decision rather than me, the Australian president, just say, well, no, this is how it's going to be. I don't believe in that. I've always been fair in that, and I listen to all my presidents. And with the new rulings, the novice and the rookie rookie changes, or the new rookie name, I should say, which is different to the rookie of the year. So that's where people might get a bit mistaken. So did you want me to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, please go into that a little bit, because I'm not even too sure about that.
Okay. Well, there you are. And it's always hard to try and get it out to everyone, to what the new rulings are and all that. But look, okay. So we thought about a lot of things, and we thought, okay, a lot of competitors will compete for the first time and do a show. Some can be very successful. We've seen some first timers that clean up the whole show, and then there's competitors that might have not done so well. And then they might take a break and come back in a few years and go and want to compete. And then our ruling forced them to go into the open. Well, they didn't even probably place in their first show, let alone to force them to now go into open, and that's all they can really do. So we thought, well, that's not been really fair on them. So we need to change these definitions and critique about the division. So we came up with two new rules, and one is a rookie. Like I said, not rookie of the year, because that's a specific show, and we're always going to protect that. So in that show, it's rookie of the year, which means you've not competed in more than 5 shows. But for your general and every other show in the world, rookie is your first year of competing in that specific division. So meaning season A and B. But if you compete in season B, you've got all the way to season A the following year.
Cool. Okay,
So
that
it's
makes
A and
sense.
B or B and A. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you can do 2 consecutive seasons,
Well,
essentially.
in a way, if you do in September, say you did September, you can go all the way to July next year, the following year. But if you competed from January 1st, you can compete right till December 31st, that whole year.
Right. And was this taken into effect as of this year just
Well,
went in
Melbourne would have been
2019?
the first to actually have that. So,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
is that? Did you understand that one?
Yeah, that makes sense. So now obviously it's going to sort of group the people, because you're right, one show isn't always
No,
enough for people to, I guess, feel like they're competent in the sport, and it's a big learning experience that first time. You
my
go
word, you
through
do.
so much, and it's almost like that first time's almost like a tester, and then when you go up on stage the second time, because I've personally competed
Yep.
on 2 separate occasions, and yeah, that second time you jump on, now you're like, okay, now I understand the basics and the basis of it, and now I'm going to try and optimize everything. And if anything, you run into more mistakes. I personally did,
Yep.
because you think you sort of know a little bit more, you think you're a little bit more competent, and then you just sort of get a lot of
My
spanners in
word,
the
and
works.
that's the other reason why we opened it up, that you can do more than one division on the day, because as you know, Carl, the first division you're very nervous, you're making maybe some mistakes, you're not posing as well, and then you come into the next division and you've got out of those nerves and that, and you become more confident and you start posing better. And we've even seen decisions get changed, because in your first division they go, oh, okay, Carl looks all right, but he's not posing very well. Come in the next division, all of a sudden they go, wow, look at Carl now. And it can change and alter the decisions, because they've now seen, and we've always said it, you can have the best body, but if you don't present it well on stage, that's all the judges can go by.
Absolutely. It's all bodybuilding is a complete
My
illusion.
words.
It's not about your weight
No.
on the scale. It's not about anything else. It's about how good can you make your
Yep.
body look in that one
My
particular
word.
moment, in that 10
Yep.
minute block of time. That's all that matters. No matter happens before or after,
My word.
that's what we're
Yep.
looking at. And yeah, that has to be really put across to a
It
lot of the
does, and that's why we
competitors.
say pose, pose, pose. No different. Like I coach football, and I say it's like training. You got to do the training and get the
Hmm.
skill mindset. Even the elite of the world in every sport, they still train. They still do the basics and that. And our basics is posing. Yes, you do all your training and all that, and get all the shape and that, but you've got to be able to present it on stage. And also, if you do have any flaws, to try and hide it while you're posing as well. That's a little, little tricks that you need to learn as well. Um, so yeah, that's fundamental,
Yeah,
and that's why we opened it up to doing more than one division. And the other thing is, if people say, "Oh, I've seen the same competitor 3, 4, 5 times," but you're not understanding your friends and family of that person don't care how many times you come up on stage. They want to see you, and they don't want to come to a show
yeah,
and watch you for 10 minutes and it's all over. You got it. No sport lasts
absolutely.
10 minutes, and other than a 100-meter sprinter that finishes in 10 seconds, yeah. But it's all the build up and all that. But what we're trying to say is that people that come to watch Carl don't care how many times Carl's on stage. They look forward to it every time.
Yeah, it's a big experience for the
It
whole
is.
family. Everyone comes in, they support you and cheer you on, and then you go out to lunch afterwards. Me and my cousin
Oh
competed
wow.
together last year,
Okay.
which was really, yeah. So we were on stage together for the Opens bodybuilding for the Victorian State
Yeah, yeah.
Championships last year in September. So we did that together, which was really awesome. We prepped together. We had all our
Fantastic.
family there. So it was a really big day for us, and it's gonna be missed quite a
Definitely.
bit.
What?
So
Sorry, Carl, to cut you off
now,
again.
yeah.
Sorry, I meant to explain the other rule change, which was the novice, which is the most
Yes.
important one. I feel. Okay, so what I was saying earlier. So Carl competed September yourself. Now you don't compete for a couple of years. You, like I said, we're forcing you to do open when you came back, and I know you did well, but if you didn't do well, you'd go, "Oh, geez, I didn't even place in first timer, let alone I'm going to go into the open." So what we did, we listened, and we thought, let's change novice. So novice now is you can be novice practically forever until you've won a novice or an open division. So if you come second, third, fourth, you can
Okay.
still continue to be a novice. But as soon as you win,
Right. So you actually have to win a novice for you to move
yes,
on to
so a novice
intermediate.
or an open. Even high classes, as you know, ICN, we have so many big divisions that we make it very fair, and I split all the divisions up into high classes. So even if you won a novice high class or an open high class, you now will be forced to go into an open division. You can't do novice anymore.
See, yeah, I like that, to be honest, because obviously everybody's body takes on varying
Correct.
times to grow and to develop to that stage. So, putting one person up, after 1 year of training
Competed.
because they were forced to, and they already did, yeah, because they
Yeah.
competed and thought it might be a good idea. I know for me personally, jumping on stage at the state show versus
Yes.
the rookie first timers that I did the first time,
It
completely
is, isn't
different
it?
playing ground, completely different physique. So it opens up your eyes, and that's very good for me to know that going in next time
My
there's going
word,
to be a little bit of
and
leeway
that's the
there.
whole point behind it. And again, it's about listening to our competitors. Also, something that I felt just wasn't right either. And because I've competed myself, so I actually did that before I became president. Before Wayne appointed me as president, I said I want to compete. I want to know what Carl's gone
Yeah, back in
through. Yeah,
back in
that's correct. Yeah,
2001,
spot
correct?
on. I wanted to know what it feels like. I wanted to know how hard the training is, the diets, um, the stage. You do.
You
Oh
learn a lot about
gosh, yeah.
yourself, don't you?
Actually, my friend said, "Never ever again are you competing." I go, "Why?" Because they go, "You were like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde." when I was, because remember, I did the old school prepping and dieting. So it was very little carbs at all. And I was sort of like very snappy. And that's totally the opposite to how I am in real life. And they said, you ever do that, we're going to kill you before you even do it. So it's always funny,
I'll
Yeah.
just let
And
other
my
people
son,
do it.
Carl, he, as you know, he's a powerlifter and yeah, look,
Incredible
not
athlete.
because he's my son, but yeah, look, I'm just in awe of him and what he has achieved and what he does. And, going from that Friday doing powerlifting, breaking a world record, then on the Sunday on our stage as a physique competitor was just unheard of and just incredible. But just watching him diet and, eating ice cream, and I go, oh, have you stopped, son? Aren't you going to compete? And he goes, yeah, Dad, why? And I go, you're eating ice cream. He goes, oh, Dad, you're from old school, man. And I go, wow. And then to see him how he turned out, I go, unbelievable. Obviously, macros and all this, we didn't have all that, So it's interesting to see the
It's
difference.
definitely, yeah,
And
it's
it
definitely come a long
is.
way when it
I
comes
see
to
it all the
dieting.
time, and I go, wow. And I think it's fantastic. I wish we had that back then. I think we would have had a lot more competitors doing it. It was just too tough back then. But it's like everything evolves and gets better.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
that's exactly what I want to talk to you about next as far as evolving goes, because now when it comes to competitions, obviously this is how it is now, a very long-term change. Things are going to be different going forward. So are you in talks with the other presidents now as far as innovating onto some sort of online component? Is there anything that you're going to be able to deliver to competitors
To be
not in
honest,
person?
me personally, I don't think, and I don't know. Again, this is my opinion. I don't like online competition or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be too tough and too hard to judge. And well, how do you go from one screen to another screen, watching different competitors and then coming out with a result? Is that really going to get people excited? I don't know. I really haven't really thought about it too much because I think we're going to get through this and we're going to actually have back on stage shows. So that's my number one priority, is to try and get that back on board and, really, because that's what gets me pumped up and really excited is, Patricia and I have always been people, and we love to see that online. It's going to be great to see them, but it's still not that I'm trying to think of the right word. Yeah. Does it make sense what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
You're not going to get that. It makes perfect sense. You're not
No,
going to get that same emotion on the day. You're
no.
not going to get that same feeling. I think one of the things that ICN Victoria especially prides himself on is being
Oh yeah,
a ICN
100%.
family. And it's, yeah, creating an online component to that can be near impossible to, especially in the same magnitudes that you do it in person, where everyone's there and you have the
Yeah,
prizes and it's all visual and
the trainer
nice.
awards. You know what I
Yeah, where it's good.
mean? That you
Yeah,
can't,
you
and
can't
and
you
that's
can't
one thing
replicate that.
we're very proud, and obviously people are going to copy what we do as well. But the trainer award, and what a big thrill for the trainer, and if you haven't got a trainer, your loved one to come up on stage or your friend to come up on stage and get that award, or just stand up on stage when you win, you just can't replicate that anywhere in the world. And the same is with live. You just can't. You really can't. And I'm just going to find it really tough to go to that. But saying that, it's like we're giving up on live stage shows. There's no way we are going to get through this. I always say it's like when you first injure yourself, or you say you have a knee reconstruction, you don't see the light at that stage. You're going to go, oh, this is going to take forever. I'm never going to get back there on board. I look at two. I'm a Hawthorn supporter, but I see two of my players that had 2 and 3 knee reconstructions, and now they're playing again. Do you think they saw a light when it all happened? They didn't, but I'm telling you now, Carl,
Yeah,
I see it, and I said it earlier, that we're going to get bigger and better because more people are going to get into it, and each and every person that goes on stage always will inspire others.
Yes, absolutely. Every time, and I think obviously a lot of coaches get into the bodybuilding scene as well, and that's usually one of their stepping stones, and they do it and they realize they love it, and then they
Correct.
want to help others
Correct,
get
Carl. You're
there.
100% correct on that.
So, you
And
know,
you inspire, Carl.
yeah,
Have you
so it's
met
just
someone that
slowly,
you
it's just big
inspired
building.
by being on stage? There you
Oh,
are.
to be honest, Tony, yeah, a lot of people. I'm at my busiest
It
when I'm
is.
in prep mode because it's exciting and people are curious and people. It's not very often throughout the year where you see someone change so dramatically
Yeah.
in what seems like a short amount of time. Obviously, it's a long amount of time for the competitor themselves, but when you're just seeing snippet photos week to week and you see all these crazy changes,
100%.
everyone's like, "Wow, like
Whether they're in
what are
shape
they
or
doing?
even
How
people
are they
that don't
doing it?"
even train. If you were, I guarantee you, you're in shape and you wear a tank top and you go to a shopping center, there'll be even guys. I do it. I go, wow, mate, he looks fantastic. Yeah, it's you admire it can even change a mindset. And I always say, even at our workshop, I always say it. Every person that goes on stage will inspire someone. It's not necessarily the top five. It can be someone that didn't even place because I look at that person and go, that's the body I'd like to look like. Or, he's got that.
Yeah,
And that's why I always say, don't
100%.
ever show bad sportsmanship on stage because that person you just inspired 2 minutes ago has just got turned off because you've gone, oh, they're not a nice person. Look at them. You know what I mean? So that's really important.
Yeah, and more importantly than even that, sometimes inspiring your own family and friends that come and watch you. They know that you're sort of into training and exercising, but they
Yeah.
haven't really seen the full extent of it. They see you jump up on stage and they see the final product of everything you've been talking about and working for, and then that's when they can turn around and be like, "Wow, okay, there's something to this. This actually does change bodies and change
Yeah, my
lives.
word.
Let's see what it's
And
all about."
another good point, Carl, is that going back to the dinosaur days, I call it, is when I became president, I said we need to evolve and we need to change this because this sport is starting to get a bit boring because there was one posing routine after another. So if there was back then, you'd only have like 20, 30 competitors. But even watching 30 posing routines got a bit, for the crowd, you sort of go, oh, another one. It was different when they used a bit of imagination and they added a bit of props and made it exciting. But everyone was just doing posing routines or posing just to different music, and it became a bit sort of for the audiences like, oh, another
Yeah,
one, another one, another one. So then we stopped the posing routines. Obviously one was because also we were getting bigger and bigger numbers each show, and it was just delaying and making the show just go too long. And as an audience, it's like going to watch a movie. It only can be so long because after that you start to twitch and turn and looking for an excuse to go to the toilet. You know what I mean? So we needed to change as well, and I think that we definitely have come that a long way. And I'm sure your family and friends that had never seen a bodybuilding show came to the show and gone, "Wow, this is different to what I expected."
yeah,
Yeah,
100%, and it flows nicely. Especially when, granted, the
it's
sheer amount of
amazing, isn't it?
competitors that run through ICN these days, yeah, it would rule an
Yeah.
entire week. People wouldn't be going home, so it's just not necessarily,
No,
yeah,
no, not at
plausible at
all.
this
And
time to
that's the
make
other
that
thing.
happen.
Sorry,
Um,
Carl. The
you
other
know,
thing
of
is online. What do we limit it to? So even if we, we get, as you know, 6, 7, 800. What are we going to do then? There's no way we can do that online. Not only that, then we
mm,
say, okay, we have a limit. But the problem is, how do I say, sorry, Carl, you can't, I've already cut the limit, so you can't do it. But I've been prepping, Tony. That's what, yeah. I see there's a lot of things that could go wrong and maybe create problems that unnecessary problems for us, limiting.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah,
Yeah.
look, this is coming more from a coach's perspective that is usually working with people that are,
Yep.
I guess, have been thinking about prepping for quite a while, or it was on their minds, or maybe they were, yeah, in the middle of
Yeah.
prep of a show that did get cancelled,
Yeah.
let alone
Oh, let's
2021 and
look,
beyond.
Carl.
So,
20,
what
2020, mate.
I'm
2020, not 21.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah,
that's what I like to. That is what I like to hear. And this
yeah,
is something that was sort of going through my head as well, which is it would be kind of cool to have a even a show where the date isn't
yeah.
announced, because what I'm seeing now is a lot of
Mm,
I'm having these phone calls with people, and people are
yeah,
just feeling a little bit demotivated because obviously, if you don't have a
yeah,
date, or you don't have an end goal, it's very hard to get
yeah. And
motivated to
no
do
doubt,
some of this
Carl, and
stuff.
you do
So,
cop it the most
even
because
having a
you're a personal trainer, and for you online, I think it's a fantastic idea. And you get that. Even look, even FaceTiming. Yeah, I've been ringing my friends, and this is a good time to catch up with friends that you normally during our busy time that let's catch up for a coffee and never do. And I changed that only a few months ago. I started ringing and I said, no, we are getting together. Not let's do it later. Um, and you FaceTiming your clients or making videos, I think it's amazing. For you guys, that's a great tool, and to keep your clients motivated. But you can still do one-on-one at the moment, which I thought the government. Look, I think the government's done
yes.
an amazing job. It doesn't matter what party you support ever. I think there is no book that they can go and, oh, hang on, let's have a look for a virus. What do we do? Yeah, they've they've done whatever they thought was
Yeah.
right.
Uh, Absolutely. And yeah, granted, it's very, very pleased with how it's going. And I'm just hoping that I'm more in the
Yeah,
sense of I just want people just to follow what, the orders that's given out. So, this can all get back to
yeah.
some sort of normality soon. So,
I know you
I'm very
are. I
excited
know
for
you are,
the
Carl,
20
and you're a
twenty
great support.
twenty.
And I've got to say it not because you're on the phone, because as people know me, I'm very honest, and I just won't say it if you weren't a nice person or a good coach. I think you've done an amazing job. Your clients are very lucky, and we've got some amazing coaches in the ICN, and like you said, a family. We all get along. People are surprised when they go backstage, and everyone, even someone that's just about to go on stage with you and goes, "Whoa, man, you look good," and they're like, "What?" People are complimenting, yeah, and that's the environment, and that's the love that we have at ICN. And you said it earlier about family, and I don't use that word loosely because it is a family, especially to Patricia and I, you guys, and we genuinely love every competitor, and we always, we'd love everyone to be successful and win or place, but that's just sport, so we can't change that. And yeah, let's.
Yeah. And that's the sport. And I don't think anyone goes in there, or I hope people don't go in there just
You
purely for a
do,
win.
and
You
you
have to
know
have a
what?
love for the
You got to beat the
competition with it
person you
all.
look in the mirror.
Yeah.
That person is the one you should be competing against, and
Hmm.
beating that person and the next one, And our judges are, look, I tell you one thing. Sorry, and I go a bit off subject and a bit everywhere. I love talking. When you love something, you just can talk about it forever. So I hope I'm not making this too boring for you guys or whatever. But
Go ahead, my
yeah,
man.
one thing I
No, I
I
love
really
this. I
pride
love this.
myself in, that my head judge Andrew, who's a very dear friend of mine, he's a personal friend of mine. We have many meetings about judging that. We've made it very tough to become a judge. It's a minimum of 12 months, and even then, that's not guaranteed that you will become a judge. So they got to sit down and do critiquing first. By that, we learn what they're seeing. We look at that. Andrew will go through it after every show, and have a look at it, and see, okay, well, why'd you write that for, and that, just have a bit of talk to them anyway, get a bit of understanding, and then they also understand what he's looking for as well. So they do that for a minimum of 12 months, just critiquing it every show. Once they've done that and they become a qualified critique judge, then you go into the placing. So then you do not an official placing, but you start doing some placings at the shows. Then he also looks at your placings, and sometimes it could be, second and third could be the other way around. It doesn't mean that they were wrong. He just also likes to talk to them about why they did it that way. And then once they've done that and they're successful at that, then they become an ICN judge. So we don't just ring up, Carl, can you judge for us this weekend? That is one of the most disrespected and wrong things that you can do for competitors that have spent so much time preparing, on stage, getting someone just because they're a world champion or Australian champion or Victorian champion or a coach to just judge. And I see that so often and I go, how can you do that? That is
Yeah.
so wrong. You need people that know what they're doing. You can't just get an AFL, someone that's coached or played football to go and umpire AFL football. Just not right.
No, absolutely not. And you know what? Like it falls on both. In my personal opinion, I think it falls a little bit on the competitors and the judges, in the sense that,
Yeah.
the judges need to be consistent, which I've seen with ICN, has been very consistent as far as the
Yes.
placings and the kind of body that they're looking for. I think what needs to be understood when it comes to bodybuilding is,
Yep.
yes, there is a specific look that we're looking for. Especially judges in general. You couldn't judge a show if you
Yeah.
didn't have an ideal body, and then seeing what is,
Correct.
I guess,
Yeah.
closest to that on the stage that you're looking at. But one of the things that, isn't spoken about as much is it's up to the competitor
Yeah.
to
Very good.
decide
Very good,
what
Carl.
body they actually want. It's up to them to look at, it's up to them to look at the people that are winning the shows of bodybuilding and men's classic and physique and say, okay, the winner of that show, is that a body that I'm looking for? Is that a body that I can actually achieve? And then that should sort of be a
Yeah.
bit of your driving force, in a sense, because if you're looking to compete in that division, you
Yeah,
want
my
to be
word. And
looking like who
look,
is winning at that
you
current
brought up a
stage.
good point. Critique. I'm always getting okay. What's critique for? Let's say bikini model or men's physique. I can write 1,000 different ones and keep changing it every week because the problem we've got is it's not set competitors. So it's not like exactly. We don't have
No,
18
it's
teams, and
only
that's
who
all we're
rocks
going.
up on the
They're
day.
the 18 teams that are going to be playing every week. Every show, it's a possibility that every single person is new or different to that. So when someone says, "Oh, but that girl that won the sports model, she doesn't fit the sports model critique," but none of the girls did. What are we going to do? Say, sorry, girls, none of you fit the critique for the sports model, so we can't place any of yous. You just can't do it. So what the judges will then go is who's the
Yeah.
closest to it. So, people, and that's something that people got to
Yes.
understand. It's not a normal sport. It's a different sport and it's subjective. Carl, you and I will go to a show and I'll go, I love
Yeah.
number 15. I reckon they should win. You go, nah, 17. And Patricia will go, nah, guys, you guys have got it all wrong. It's number 12 that's won. Again, that's the same thing. The judges will follow a critique to a point, but everyone's still got an opinion
Yeah.
as well and what they like. So they'll get as close as they can to the critique. But again, critique could be just thrown out the door because no one fits that critique or only one or two fits it. And what do you do for the rest? You know what I mean? It's not a normal sport where, it's that easy. And
Yeah.
again, everyone has an opinion. And it's no different. Look, sorry to keep going back to football, something I love, yeah. Go to a game and, the umpire had it, it's a push in the back, and then the other umpire doesn't pay it, or doesn't see it, and yeah, that's just sport, isn't it? And people just got to stop. Yeah, and you said it perfectly
Oh,
before. You
Tony,
said
it's the
they need to
game, and
just go there and compete and be the best that they can.
yeah, it's really about, in my opinion, you will
Correct.
not be a good competitor if you don't love the process. And that's
Yeah.
something that I struggled with on the
Yeah.
second time around. First time it
Yes.
felt really good. Second time it was a lot harder, and it showed on the physique. If you're not
My
loving
word.
what you're
Yeah.
doing, your body shows it in other ways, not just So you have to be in it
My
100%.
word.
You got to
And
feel
as you
good
know,
when you're
Carl,
doing it,
something
and do it for the
we've
right
added as
reasons.
well that we do is the critique judges. So they're there sitting there not to write just rubbish about you. They're there to help you. And if competitors actually, when they get it, look at it and show it to their coach, and a good coach, not one that'll look for excuses, will go, you know what? Yeah, yeah, Patricia, you're right. Look, we need to work on shoulders, or we need to work on tricep, or whatever the case is. So we'll write some positive things, posing as well, or nice smile, or things like that that are positive, and then we'll write a couple of points that you need to work on. And every single person that I've spoken to that actually said, you know what, I followed what your critique, actually did really well the next show or the show after, because they actually listened to it. We don't just do it because I pay my judges here. Judges just do critique for nothing. It's there for a reason, to better you and make you into a better competitor.
Well, of course, Tony, it's an emotional sport, and I don't think anyone likes to be told that,
Yep.
their physique wasn't, in quotations, good enough. But, if that is you, if you are that kind of person, then you're not in the right sport. You need to be, like I was saying before, you've got to be looking at, regardless of what your emotions are attached to your physique, it has to come
Yes.
from the judges and the people that are on that panel and what they're looking for. So regardless of whether
Yep.
you think you have a good back or a good calves or whatever you think, if the judges aren't seeing that, and they're going to be the people that are going to be critiquing you and judging you for the years to come, then you
Yep.
have to take that on board regardless of whether you think it's right or wrong. Or go somewhere where you feel that
My
you
word.
will get a
Look,
better
a
place,
great
and it's
example
up
was
to you as the competitor to make that decision.
maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. Time goes that quick, you forget. It was the overall for the Mr. Victoria in the bodybuilding. It was these two guys going head to head. I'm telling you, it was like someone got a hose. They were sweating that much. Honestly, went for about, I reckon 15, 20 minutes, this comparison, and the judges couldn't get it, couldn't decide between them. And they had to do a lat spread. One stroked it. Stroked it doesn't make sense. Is that real English? I don't know. One stroked it, yeah, and the other one couldn't.
Strikes it, I guess.
And that was the difference. Can you
And that was
believe it?
it.
And I know the other guy
Oh my
personally, and
goodness.
his lats are amazing. He just couldn't get it right when it came down to, under the pressure. And that's, again, well, the judges can only go, well, geez. And as you know, when you don't strike that lat spread, it doesn't look very good. Yep.
No, Vicky personally gave me a
She
gave me a
would
hiding when I
have.
very first saw her
Carl,
before my
Carl.
first. Oh, I remember. Yep. She's looking at my shoulder blade, and she's like, "That I don't know what you have to do, but you've got to do something about it." So I
Yeah,
spent the next 6 months going massages, doing exercises, going to physios, and trying to
it
work it
is.
out because, yeah, at the end of the day,
Well,
it is what it
exactly
is.
right.
You have to
And
be
like I
able to
said,
do
that
that
was the
when you're
difference.
asked.
They were spiking calves. They were doing left, right calf. They were doing left side, right side of tricep, bicep, whatever. They just couldn't separate until it came to that last one. Can you believe it? And he's all his friends are going, no.
Wow. Yeah, that would
Because
have been
sometimes, as you
quite a
know,
show.
and again, it's about training your poses and getting them right, and that. And lat spread is probably one of the hardest poses to do. Um, incredibly hard. And when you're
Real lat
trying
spread,
too hard,
especially.
is that when you're actually not pushing them out, you're actually pushing them in, as you learned, and that's it. And that's something. When I took Carl to
Hmm.
Vicky to learn posing, and he goes, "This is harder than training." My word. And just hitting them
Yep,
right,
you
yeah. And
come out
again,
of there
like what you said
sweating
about
harder than
presentation,
you would
not
have a normal
not
session.
showing your best. So yeah.
Yeah, and also trying to have that same sense of flexing at your absolute
Yes,
most without
exactly
looking
right.
like
Yeah,
you're
got to keep
struggling.
that
That's one
smile
of the
going
hardest
and
parts.
pretending it's not killing you. And yeah, and under those lights, it's intense. Yeah, but you know what, mate, you're making me feel good talking about this. I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. Look, we've
It's
probably spoken for
it's
an
a great
hour,
experience.
and I reckon we could go for another
Yeah,
two,
I can
3 hours
see.
talking. And that's what I was saying about when you love, and I think that's part of,
Just
again, of our
straight up
success, is that
bodybuilding. Yeah.
Patricia and I love what we do, and like you as a coach and a competitor, you just love the sport. And I think sometimes, and I get really, and Patricia goes, you need to relax when people are bagging our sport, or bagging someone, or something that a federation do, something that I don't allow on any of my Facebook pages. I don't care what federation. You do not bag any federation. We're all out there trying our hardest, and we'll make mistakes, and I try and learn from my mistakes. And like I said earlier, I always ask competitors and coaches, was there some experience of the whole show? And this is something that I talk about, is experience. We want to try and give you the best experience we can. Not just, because placings, I can't control that. But everything else of the show, from entering, from getting information, from being able to contact me direct. As you know, I give my personal number to everyone. Because that's very important for you as a coach, that your clients can get onto me and answer their question straight away, or even you for a client. And so that's part of having a good experience. To the moment they walk through the door and see my beautiful wife, Patricia, that, as you know, Carl greets you with the biggest heartwarming smile. That's genuine. That's the most important thing. Is Carl, I'll tell you and all your viewers. Do you call it viewers? Listeners. Is that it's genuine. Yeah? There's no, excuse my French. There's no BS in my family. So you walk through the door. You go up to registration. 30 seconds it takes registration. Again, that's a good experience. It's my beautiful daughter there with either Wayne or David, or her husband now, because they just got married. He's there. We give you gifts. And then you go backstage. Our wonderful backstage marshals that are just smiling and are taking the carbless competitors and their grouchiness and all that, to when they come up on stage. Perry, who's a professional MC, I'm there DJing and trying to make them feel really comfortable on stage. To my judges, that if you tripped and fell over, we'd all laugh, but it's not going to take any score off you. They have a bit of a laugh too, to right to the end. That is a good experience, and that's what we really want.
Yeah, and I've got to say, from just a personal experience, that I haven't had, in the shows that I've been in, never had an issue. There's been no problems. It's always been a smooth day, and it's always been timely, which has always been good. I don't think there's much worse than especially having your family and friends there, and it's running an hour overtime, and from what I've seen so far, it's been pretty good on that regards. Always there, and always making sure we're well taken care of. What is your message to competitors now? What do you want to tell them as far as if they were looking forward to a show? What do you want to say?
Because, unfortunately, all the gyms are closed and that. But if you've got some gym equipment, please keep training. One thing, I'm confident, but again, I don't have control, and that's the hardest thing for us, because we can't say, okay, it's 100% guaranteed September is on, because I don't have control of that. But I can tell you now, I've already contacted the venue to say, listen, if our shows get moved to October, please find me some dates. If October's not available, I will need some dates for November or even December. So I've got the ball rolling already for all that. We'll do everything in our power to get that show going. And if we feel that a lot of the competitors won't be ready by September, because, look, I think this is my gut feeling, and something I've been speaking to Patricia, I think by first week of June, they'll start to lean off all these restrictions and slowly open up things. As long as we follow and everyone stays home and doesn't do the wrong thing, we'll get there really quickly, because Australia, we're very blessed with that. We're an island. This is the most important. Whenever I go overseas, people go, you don't know how lucky you guys are that you're so far away from all the stuff that happens around the world. And this is a good example of it, that we'll keep moving and keep shifting the dates until we think that people have had enough time, say 3 months, to get back into ideal shape that they needed to be in. We'll keep doing that, but again, we're restricted. So I keep saying, just keep training. There's no reason why you can't keep training, and the earliest we can find out from the government, the earliest we can get out the dates. Oh,
Yeah, that's awesome. And I personally cannot wait to see everyone come back in. I know as soon as that date is
yeah.
locked in, we're going to have a lot of eager people to show what they've done. And I think it's a good way to, just having that in mind and, always knowing that there is going to be one coming to sort of keep people on track and,
My word.
not fall
Absolutely.
too far away
So,
from your end goal. Nah, Tony, yeah, it has been an
Carl,
absolute
I'm
pleasure, mate, to
always
have you on.
always
I can't thank
available,
you enough
no
for
matter
jumping on
what.
board.
Whether it's even just to ask question, probably not talk this long, but because I don't want to make it too boring for your listeners. But yeah, if there's anything and anyone out there that is listening, you are more than welcome. I'll give it to you right now. This is my private number: 0402 55 5505. If you miss that, just go to my Facebook, click on, and it'll
Oh,
direct you straight to my number. I rather talk to people because sometimes communicating on either Facebook or Instagram and that the message isn't getting properly relayed, and just ring me. I'm more than happy to answer any question that you've got. In saying that, I want to honestly thank, from Patricia and myself, we want to thank all the essential workers out there, from your ambos to police, fire, all the medical staff, everyone that's helping out there, because, they've done an amazing job, and it's not an easy job too. And, I want to say God bless you, Carl, and all your listeners, and to protect you.
thank you so much, Tony. And yeah, it doesn't get much more
Oh,
personal than that. I've seen your campaigns for your ICN heroes, and taking special recognition of the essential workers that are also competitors. That's been awesome to have a look at. Well, so that's ICN_Victoria. If anyone has wanted to have a bit of a look at that, and it doesn't get much more personal. Getting your phone number for any sort of inquiries when it comes to bodybuilding and competing and
oh,
stuff like that. We'll definitely
can't
have to
wait
get you
for
back
that.
on when there's a bit more of
One thing we will do,
a
sorry, just
clearer date
quickly
and
add,
a
is
clearer
that we do,
perspective on it
and
all.
we will be putting out an email as we find out as well. So to definitely let the thousands of members that we do have. But yeah, Carl, I can't wait for that conversation. Good on you,
Yeah,
Carl. You're welcome, mate.
fantastic. All right, Tony, I
See
will
you. Bye
leave it
bye.
there. Thank you so much for jumping on. All right, you take Thank you so much for letting me in on your morning walk. It has been an absolute pleasure to get some people on here that want to talk to you about health optimization and staying motivated during times like this. I really want people to stay on track with what they're doing. Don't forget how good fitness and enjoyment and exercise is to your lifestyle and to everything that you do. So please keep it as a part of your routine. Use these podcasts to let them join you and to keep you on track and keep your mind on track. If you know anyone that is doing morning walks and is trying to keep their healthy habits on check, I would love for you to share this with them. Please review it, tag me in your stories. It's all going to be super helpful to me getting some amazing guests to talk to you about everything health, fitness, nutrition, and how to get your best body. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.